Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Crypto Marketing Insights with me, Yasha Harari. Pardon the furry squirrels. So, how was your crypto day yesterday? Let me just ask you that. And before we get into anything, this is not a financial advice show, and I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. That's a hell of a disclaimer, right? All right. Coin market cap. Yes, enjoy the show for entertainment purposes only. Okay, coin market cap. Let's take a look here, folks. We've got 2,090 cryptos listed, and we've got a situation of 129, almost 130 billion market cap, down quite a bit from about 48 hours ago. And you can see that the plummet, which affected a lot of cryptos, was not reversed immediately by most of them. XRP, of course, stands out from the mix. And some people are pointing out whether or not there's a possibility that the fact that XRP was going to be listed on Coinbase, the fact that that was going to happen, that got leaked to somebody with, whale-size capital, and it may have caused the dumping, basically, because the person wanted to dump the price and then buy them back cheap or whatever. That's a theory I have heard. I don't necessarily agree with it because I just haven't seen enough evidence to demonstrate that that got leaked to some whale. But could it happen? Sure. Does it make a difference? Honestly, no. Did the fall happen as a shock? No. Like, a lot of people kind of expected it. So, there were plenty of traders saying, take profits now. And if you listened to any of those, and if you did that, well, good for you. And if you didn't, well, better luck next time. That's how it goes sometimes, right? And so this is from my perspective, it's getting cheaper to buy Bitcoin, right? So if you're into buying crypto now, well, it's a better bargain now than it was, a couple days ago. But if you look at the bigger picture, really, I'm not going to go into the TA because we don't do that really here. But if you look at the big picture, we're still in a bear market, right? We're changing gears, maybe we're putting things in motion going forward, but we're definitely not out of the bear market. So if you're worried, did you miss something? Did you miss an opportunity to buy cheap? No. Is it likely to go down again? I couldn't tell you. I'm not a forecaster. I don't have the crystal ball. It could go down again before it starts going back up long term. Sure. It could also not go down again before it starts going back up long term. Overall, it's a good price. So, hey, yay. Good for the market. I'm thrilled to see a lot of, coins getting some kind of action one way or the other. Because either way, if you're a long-term investor in this stuff, what matters is that there is price action, right? More than what it is. Because usually in the long term, if your investment survives the longer term, that's usually as a result of growing. Not always, of course, but very often. So hopefully your investment is growing. And if you're a marketer, hopefully the coin you're marketing or the project you're marketing is growing too. And to that effect, I'm going to jump right into an actual interesting, we spoke about already Coinbase listing XRP. Everybody saw the spike graph, plummeting and then going right back up on XRP, whereas everywhere else it just kind of stayed down. Was it manipulation? By definition, anytime you're interacting with the market, you're manipulating. Right? When you're buying or selling, you're manipulating. So, yeah, sure, it was manipulation. Sure, why not? Because that's the definition of manipulation, is using the market, right? That's the market definition anyway. Was it manipulation on a scale that should be regulated or prohibited? Yeah, I don't see that being the case. I just don't. Yeah. Anyway, Are there other regulations that should be in place for blockchain? There are, by definition, regulations in place for blockchain, even if they're not fully fleshed out yet. Because every jurisdiction governs itself under its own laws. So whatever local laws are applicable, whatever state laws or national laws are applicable, wherever you happen to be, blockchain has to operate within that, in the sense of, governments may not allow certain things to happen on the blockchain if they are not conforming to local laws, state laws, national laws. I don't think that's particularly great for the most part, but sometimes it's clear that regulation is necessary. Like, you can't just have, well, hopefully, certainly in many countries you wouldn't just want, that I am familiar with the culture. If you just allowed people to just, let loose with all their vices through blockchain, in an unregulated way, that would be not seen as a positive thing, right? And if you try to regulate them, there may be issues, because who will conform, after all, it's vices, and who wants to put those on the blockchain once they realize, oh, it's public, right? So, there's a lot of issues there with regulation issues, but before I go off on a tangent here, let's just focus on the story, which is that Coinbase listed XRP. Never mind the manipulation. Coinbase listed XRP. It's available on Coinbase Pro if you're in the U.S., not New York, of course. But if you're in, the U.S. and a bunch of other countries already, I think the U.K., whatever, many other places around the world. But they're adding it, in a phased or incremental way to their platforms. They're first on Coinbase Pro. When I saw Coinbase Pro last night, it was available. You could deposit XRP into the account. You couldn't buy it outright. You had to deposit it first and then trade it. So you could add XRP into the account, but as of now, from what I can tell, you can actually just, I can now buy it in the account. Great. And they say they're going to be rolling it out to the regular Coinbase. Usually they do that within a few weeks or so. That tends to happen. The question is, will the price actually spike when it goes on the regular Coinbase? The fact that it's already on Coinbase Pro, you'd think there'd be a bigger spike, but actually most people, from what I can tell, don't use Coinbase Pro. If they use Coinbase at all, they use the regular retail version, and it's easier for them. They just buy at the market price, and that's it, or sell or whatever. So when it goes out on the actual commercial retail Coinbase, will it have an impact on XRP? In the past, some coins have done really well when listed on XRP, and then it was assumed that there was this kind of Coinbase effect. And as soon as that was assumed, and the next batch of coins were added to Coinbase, those coins did not at all experience a positive effect. They actually crashed pretty bad, and then have been bouncing around lower numbers ever since. Effectively, but they didn't get the spike they were expecting at all. Right? It was effectively a crash from their point of view. So Coinbase added XRP, something they should have done a year, 2 years ago. Why? Now I guess that conversation, thank goodness, is a thing of the past. It is no longer a question of will Coinbase add XRP. It is, of course, Coinbase has the ability to sell securities, right? They have a license to sell securities. So, that does not forego the possibility that XRP may someday be seen as a security, although I don't see how that would be the case. But there are people who make that argument. I just don't see how that's the case. If you think it is, let me know. In any case, there you go. If you're into buying XRP, you can now buy it on Coinbase. And that's going to be that for that story. I want to jump into actually something that I think is more salient for all of us in the world of marketing on the blockchain and crypto marketing. And that is actually, by the way, something went really wacky with the titles and descriptions, so it's all going to be edited after the live stream. And then all the links to all these things will be in the actual description below. But in any case, blockchain marketing, what do they have in common, right? People are like, wait, why do you talk about blockchain marketing insights all the time and crypto marketing insights and the story arc? What actual tools? You know, what can you do with crypto or blockchain and marketing that makes either of those things better for the customer or for the company or for the process or anything? Well, it turns out that there's actually a lot of uses for blockchain with marketing beyond just the obvious use of cryptocurrency as a form of money. So transactional, right? Very useful. You can actually really find some extremely powerful uses for marketing with the blockchain. And many of those things are not maybe the obvious form of money, but actually the creation and use of marketing tools that are on the blockchain. And what do I mean by that? Well, there are tools you can use that are essentially CRMs or marketing platforms where the tools themselves are on the blockchain. And the problems that solves are those of security of the database, because it's decentralized, or it's decentralized within the ecosystem, and it's on the blockchain, so you don't have the chance of losing the database easily, right? Of course, it's much more secure, it's immutable, it reduces the possibility of fraud or funky business or bad marketing, and it gives you the possibility to pull serious levers to let you maximize profitability, ROI, revenues, AOV, whatever your KPIs are. It gives you the possibility to have a better history of your customers. It gives you a possibility to know where your customers have been, what they're doing, where they're going, etc. There's a lot more reach and depth in having a blockchain-enabled marketing automation tool, right? And we've been saying for ages in our company, and we've been building for our customers, blockchain-enabled tools, proprietary tools that let them use blockchain related tools for their marketing. And we've been building those little tools for customers basically to make their businesses more cost effective, right? Why? Well, because even if a little small tool inside of a small company, helps them reduce their overhead 5%, 7%, 10% in a year, that can sometimes make or break the difference, right, on their bottom line in a given year, especially in a bear market year, right? So by doing that kind of marketing work, by making your process more cost effective through managing your CRM on the blockchain, right, depending on which one you use, you're able to reduce not just overhead, but overall issues that would otherwise slow down your marketing agency or your marketing work. So are there any current, industries that are potentially huge for growth? Well, yeah, right, there are. Of course, tourism on the blockchain, gaming on the blockchain, events on the blockchain, buying, going to events, buying ticket events, buying retail goods on the blockchain, right? Having a proper, safe, stored copy of your receipts and your contracts and your everything you've ever bought or sold, right? All those things can be improved by being on a secure, decentralized blockchain. And those are essentially what give impetus to marketers who want to effectively leverage the cycle, right? Where you use your blockchain to empower your marketing automation, and vice versa. You use your marketing automation to empower your blockchain. Doing so will give you a symbiotic win, right? A synergistic win. And that will lead to exponential growth, which is, of course, what you want. You want the hockey stick growth chart, but you have to build it. So you build it by making the systems that are automated more effective, pulling the levers that you can control when you need them up or when you need them down. You decide the rhythm of your growth. Because if you leave it up to the winds of the world, you will be a ship lost at sea, right? But if you take the helm and you steer the ship through the storm, then you can decide essentially in which direction your ship will go and where what you're going to do, right, with that. What that journey is going to be like. Is it going to be, how are you going to control it? What are you aiming to do? Are you aiming to move very rapidly? Are you aiming to do things slowly but in a controlled way, or quickly and in a controlled way? What are you looking to do with your marketing strategy? When you have the tools in your hands, you're much more capable of it. And when the tools that you use combine the power of marketing automation with that already have inside of them a lot of other tools like AI, deep learning, machine learning, any number of other wonderful things that marketing automation can do, voice recognition, character recognition, you name it. When you add all those functionalities together, and then you add the power of the blockchain, which makes that data, again, immutable, decentralized, free of political corruption or influence, which is censorship, which, by the way, exists in corporations as much or more than in governments, right? I mean, I think we all know that. So when you have all those things on the blockchain empowering your marketing automation, you're going to have a lot better, I think, ultimately, a lot more ethical marketing. Ultimately, of course, you'll have unethical marketing always, but this will improve the level and the standards of ethical marketing. This will improve the results of lean and agile marketing, which is, of course, how we do marketing here. This will deliver better results from your marketing. So if you're not using blockchain marketing tools, you definitely should be. And I highly recommend you take a look at this primer, a little article for people who are relatively new to blockchain marketing. It's from last year, so bear that in mind. There's a couple of things that are not fully up to date in it, but it is still very informative. Here's an article that I found interesting from Noobpreneur, and again, link will be below. You can see here, basically, so I'm not going to read the entire article for you. Some wonderful video explanations included in this, but essentially, this article talks about how blockchain and marketing automation will improve advertising by reducing fraud, right? Currently, estimates are roughly a third or a little bit more than a third of advertising activity, web activity is fraud. And 60% of all digital marketing spend is going to waste, since a total of 54% of online ads are never seen by humans. And that's from a research study done by Proxima, right? So think about that. You put out 100 ads, 60 of them, roughly, or 54 of them, will never be seen by humans. Kind of wasteful. What if you could reduce that number a little bit, right? What if you could provide better transparency about the data? And you can with blockchain, right? You can definitely provide more transparency. Does it solve a critical, like, can marketing survive without blockchain technology? Sure, of course. Blockchain is a relatively new thing, but blockchain technology exists, so why wouldn't you take advantage of it to benefit your marketing? Does this mean that this is the be-all and end-all of all marketing solutions? Of course not. It's a useful way to be more effective and efficient with your marketing campaigns, right? Don't blow this out of proportion. But it is really powerful stuff, and if done right, it can lead you to massive customer data information that can really drive your company to very, substantial gains. Data insight and data science are increasingly important elements in any business, especially any business doing any kind of marketing. And so, of course, blockchain is another data source and data creation point where you can, add information to your blocks that will be stored forever, and give your historical graphs and your historical insights on your marketing platforms a much better perspective, a longer term perspective on your customers, right? Yeah, of course, if you're using a pruned node, okay, maybe you'll have a slightly pruned blockchain because you don't host a full node on your server. But if you're like most companies who are getting into the space, you'll host at least one full node server of whatever blockchain you're running, hopefully. And you'll have a good decentralized network of other companies, of other country computers, servers and computers around the world that are running your servers, or that your blockchain that you're using is on. Will be, you'll be using a decentralized blockchain that someone else already created. Hopefully, you'll be on a good one that has, solid security and uptime and everything else, much like Bitcoin or whatever other one you prefer. So blockchain automation absolutely will help reduce those problems and increase the power of marketing, and hopefully improve the experience of the customer ultimately, right? Because that will bring them back. And just in case you're wondering, well, what are some actual practical sort of front end or well-known marketing tools or marketing related tools that are blockchain powered? And guess what? The first one is actually the content network, Steemit. Well, it's not the very first one I ever built, but the first one I'm listing in this video. That I'm pointing out in this video. There's been another one in there, but it doesn't seem to be up there now. But Steemit, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a blockchain-related social network. Okay, there's a lot of misperceptions about Steemit. It is a social network technically on the blockchain, and you can give people tips, right? Little crypto money, little amounts of Steem tokens, right? For if they have good content or whatever, you can decide how much to give them or whatever. If you have money in your crypto account on Steemit, you can donate tips or whatever, and you can receive tips. And then you can convert those tips into other cryptos if you want, or you can just have a bunch of Steem tokens if you want. Now, there's been a lot of controversy, I would say, for a company of their size, which is now also largely smaller, very much smaller than it was a year ago. They had to reduce their staff by like 70% a few months ago. And the Steemit network basically, took a bad hit in 2018 because of the market crash. And it also came under fire from users because they actually are not a decentralized website, right? It's owned by a company, and you can't really just post whatever you want without fear of consequence, because they have terms of use and they have, acceptable use policies or whatever they have. You can't just post whatever you want on there. Just like on Facebook. People thought when they left Facebook to go to Steemit, or when they added Steemit to their pile of social logins, that's exactly what Steemit was, a place to post whatever they wanted. But it turns out it's not, right? Like at all, right? And the Steemit website, again, is not 100% correlated to the Steem token. The Steemit website just uses the Steem token, but it isn't the same thing. Much like Ripple uses XRP, but they're not the same thing. Ripple is a software company that created XRP, but XRP is a separate entity, not owned by Ripple. Although Ripple has, or the Ripple Foundation or whatever has, the majority of the tokens, but they're held in escrow and all this other stuff. So Steemit, very useful, by the way. I find it extremely useful for finding interesting content. A lot of people in here on Steemit that I peruse their profiles and I find interesting things. But it's also a great place if you're doing marketing to test out blockchain and marketing content marketing types. What's going on there? What's popular in terms of content being distributed on the blockchain? And it's very easy for anybody with a Steemit account to post content that's on the blockchain, and which means that content's there for as long as there will be that blockchain. It's not going away, right? It's not going to just disappear. You can always find it. But the difference is, right, it's, again, you don't really own 100% your profile on there. You can't just take a copy of everything you have on Steemit easily from one blockchain website to another and repost it or whatever. You don't carry that with you. It's not a social blockchain identity profile that you can just stick wherever you want, right? We've been building something like that for a while, but whatever, that's a complicated project. But the point is, this is not that, but this is a very useful tool for posting content onto the blockchain and testing its impact in small doses or whatever, however large your following is, or however large the following of the influencers that you work with is. Steemit's very useful for blockchain marketing in that sense, if you're doing any kind of content marketing. The second thing I wanted to mention is a little group called AdEx. And if you're not familiar with AdEx, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I'm just to tell you real quick, it is an ad network on the blockchain. I think that should basically explain everything you need to know, right? If you're advertising and you don't want to waste your money on ad fraud, blockchain really solves that in ways that current ad networks cannot. And if you're a publisher, you're looking to advertise, if you're an advertiser, you're looking to, if you're a publisher, you're looking to put ads on your website and have actual real ads from real advertisers, again, reducing the amount of headache you have to deal with, because you're only delivering real clicks, so you're going to get paid what it says you should get paid. There's not going to be questions about that if it's done properly. So AdEx is basically that. It's a network for advertising, and it's on the blockchain. And you can watch their video. You can, join their network. They base it on Ethereum, right? There's no commissions and fees. They minimize as much as possible ad fraud possibilities, which is, again, much easier to do because of the clear and transparent reporting that the blockchain gives us, right? Now, of course, there are fake profiles on the blockchain. Obviously, there are fake profiles, right? Starting with the very first, who the hell is Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Like, is that a real name? Is that a pseudonym? We don't know. So Satoshi himself is fake Toshi, because we don't know if he's his real name or not. We don't know who that is. Satoshi is fake Doshi, but not, right? Obviously. But yeah, point is, in general, to properly join the blockchain, most people usually go through some commercial exchange that requires them to do KYC. That's just how it normally happens to date. Okay, yes, a lot of people have only bought through local Bitcoins and offline and off the grid, and they're anonymous and everything else. That's true. But by and large, the overwhelming majority of wallets that exist on exchanges have KYC on them. And that's the majority of wallets on the blockchain. So I know. You're going to tell me, wait, wallets on the exchange aren't really individual wallets. Right. I get it. But still, of the 100 million people or so that have tried anything to do with a blockchain wallet, you know, far more than half of them have an exchange account. And yeah, so blockchain advertising, definitely less fraudulent than current advertising, where bots can do an awful lot of harm. Will there be bots that can fool the blockchain? Sure, probably there will be. Do there need to be? No, there don't need to be. But there will be, because there are always unscrupulous people who will take advantage of the opportunity that new technology brings. So that's to be expected. Nothing surprising there. But AdEx, if you're looking for an ad network to try on the blockchain, whether you're an advertiser or a publisher, check them out. Again, none of these companies, they're not sponsoring me. Not Steemit, not, anybody, not AdEx, not anybody I've mentioned throughout this video. This is just, I'm bringing you the marketing information because I think you can benefit from it if you're getting into crypto marketing or blockchain marketing, or if you're already in it and you're not aware of these tools. A lot of stuff happens. It's impossible to know everything, right? And if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you definitely don't have time to keep up with everything that's going on in crypto. I feels you, man. I feels. But here you go. The second really useful tool, I think, is to be aware of is called Basic Attention Token, right? And if you're aware of BAT, right, it's a crypto. People trade it, and you can get them on a lot of different exchanges. They even have their own browser as well as extensions for other browsers. And what is it? Well, BAT basically rewards content providers, content creators. It does a few things, actually. Well, one is it allows content creators to get rewarded by their viewers or by their whatever users, customers, and etc. By letting those people give the content creator a certain amount of tokens that they can choose to give, right? Any amount of tokens. And by doing that, they're allowing users to not see as many ads, right, in their time using the Basic Attention Token enabled browsers like Brave, right, for example. So the Brave browser uses the BAT token to allow content creators to get paid right there through the Brave browser. Right? You can have a list of content creators that you want to give money to, and it can be a dynamic list, it can be a static list, it can be whatever you want. And the idea is, by doing that, by reducing the number of ads that they're actually exposing to people, they're actually going to improve the performance of the ads, because people who are looking for fake traffic are not going to advertise as often on sites that are BAT enabled, right? Well, the same thing happens when those advertisers realize, aha, it's not good to advertise on a BAT-enabled site, well then that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You end up with better performing ads. And as it turns out, advertisers do not hate Brave browser or the BAT token. In fact, they see it as very useful because they see it as anybody who's actually engaged with the ad that they do see is going to be more, interested in it, right? So there you go. So they're actually in favor of this particular token because they're getting more, just like the name implies, they're getting more basic attention out of the token, effectively. They're getting more user attention, more engagement, more mental brain width, right? That's how that works. And it's very counterintuitive for anybody who's been in traditional advertising, but it is what it is, and it is real, and you can use it. And if you're an advertiser or a marketer, right, you should be aware of the structure of this kind of model, because whether you use BAT or some other similar model, the likelihood is you will be using this model increasingly in the years to come, right? So you have privacy, which is much better when it's protected by the blockchain. Yes, of course, we're not talking about privacy for, law stuff. We're talking about advertising privacy and your right to privacy, etc. So it is legal related when people violate it, but we're not talking about, this isn't like a Monero coin situation. This is protecting your user privacy, or privacy of your data, right? That's essentially the fundamental point of BAT, is you get to engage more, you get to choose who you support more, you get much more specific and relevant information, but at the same time your privacy is more protected, so that while you're giving more to the companies that are involved on the other end, the advertiser and the publisher on whose site you saw the information, they're getting more from you as a customer, but they're getting less from you as an individual that they can commoditize without your permission, right? Here they're getting your permission to commoditize this information, and they're delivering it to you in a way that you have much better control, right? So again, if you're a marketer in crypto or blockchain, and you're not using something like Basic Attention Token, do yourself a favor, check out their website. Again, the links will be in the description below, but check out basicattentiontoken.org. I'm not paid by them or anything like that. I'm not a spokesperson for them or anything like that. I'm just telling you, I think this is a very useful model, that we're going to see more models that are similar to it in the future on the blockchain. Right? Whether it'll be BAT or something else, I don't know and really don't care. I like BAT and all to some degree, but I'm not, not married to the idea or anything. It can certainly be another token that could be better. But this one, for now, is what's out there and is considered good. And that's an important part of that as well. The fact that it is considered, how it is considered to be effectively the market leader in the space for this particular niche, right? Can there be other leaders in this space? Absolutely. This is not the only advertising token. There are others. I've just shown you 3 examples. There are many others. Please do your own research and find the ones that work for you. But be aware these tools are out there, and they're there to benefit you. So I don't want to waste your time. Everyone's busy. It's Tuesday, or wherever you are in the world, or whenever you're listening to this. I don't know. Maybe you're probably not listening to this on the day I recorded it. But in any case, whether you're marketing crypto and blockchain in 2019, or you're thinking about it, be aware these tools are out there and they can certainly help you. And if you have any more questions, do what our folks in the lounge do. Drop a question, drop a comment, send us a message, whatever you want. By all means, engage with us, and we will answer all questions that we can. We do this for the tiny little world of marketers on the blockchain. We know it's not the biggest world in the world, or the biggest channel of them all. This is a tiny, tiny channel on YouTube, but our VIP Lounge is wonderfully populated by some of the best in the business. And for that, we are really grateful for your input and your participation, all you guys in that group. I want to say thank you again to everybody who's there. Really, really means the world to us, and it lets us make more of these marketing videos. So before I check out, I just want to say again, thanks again. If anybody who's watching us on YouTube wants to support us, you can of course do that through our cryptocurrency channels. We don't accept donations for nothing. We only accept support in exchange for something. So if you want to support us, you get benefits. Otherwise, we wouldn't do that. But the support you give us lets us make more of these videos, and we appreciate all of it. So we set up a Patreon channel. If anybody ever wants to join, you can do that, or you can just keep donating by crypto means. And so thanks again for tuning in. And of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you get notified when we post new videos. Once again, thanks again for listening to Crypto Marketing Insights. And until next time, folks, take care.